Hi friends, today I will share with you a story from my life. Enjoy watching. I, 38M, have been married to my wife, Claire, 36F, for almost 12 years. We have no kids, by choice, something we both agreed on early in the relationship. She said she wanted to focus on her art and career, and I've always respected that. I work in IT, mostly remote, which gave me the flexibility to support us when she was in between gallery shows or commissions. We were never rich, but I provided a stable, comfortable life. We were that couple everyone said was so in sync. We traveled, cooked together, laughed at dumb Netflix shows. But looking back now, I realize a lot of that was me keeping the peace. Claire always had moods. Sharp tongue. If something didn't go her way, she'd get defensive, passive-aggressive, or just go silent for hours. I thought it was stress or pressure from her work. I tiptoed a lot more than I should have. Things started to shift about 8 months ago. She got colder. Less touchy, less engaged. Sex. Rare. Conversation. Always about her projects, her feelings, her creative blocks. If I brought up something I needed, more time, more support, even just a hug, she'd act like I was attacking her. One time I said I missed when we used to have breakfast together and she said, dead serious, "You're so emotionally needy lately. It's draining." That was the first time it hit me in the chest. Needy. For wanting my wife to eat toast with me. Then came the idea of couples therapy. She brought it up one night over dinner, or more accurately, while she picked at salad and scrolled through her phone. "I think we should talk to someone. Like, a therapist. Not because I think we're broken, but I think you need help communicating your feelings better." Yep. I needed help. Still, I agreed. I loved her. I wanted to fix whatever had cracked between us. Maybe we both had things to work on. Maybe she was right, and I wasn't seeing it clearly. So we found a guy, Dr. Eli, recommended by one of her art friends. We had a couple sessions together. He seemed decent. Gentle, soft-spoken, very affirming. Claire loved him. Called him refreshing. I felt like I was being indirectly scolded half the time, but I kept showing up, trying to be open. Honest. Vulnerable. She stopped going with me after session 3. Said she needed solo sessions to dig into her own emotions. "It's not about you, I just want to unpack some trauma first," she said. I trusted her. I wish I hadn't. So yeah, she started seeing Dr. Eli on her own. At first, I was actually relieved. I thought maybe she was working on herself, and that we'd eventually circle back stronger. For a few weeks, things even seemed slightly better. She'd come home from the sessions lighter, more energized. She'd say things like, "We talked about control today," or, "I realized I was reacting to past wounds." Honestly, it gave me hope. But then it got weird. One Thursday evening, her usual therapy day, she texted me, "Session cancelled last minute. Staying for a bit, need time to myself. Don't wait up." I remember reading that and getting a gut punch. The wording felt off. Like, who cancels a therapy session and then stays there for a bit? I asked when she got home, around 10 p.m., where she'd been. She said she just went for a walk to think. That Dr. Eli had a family emergency and bailed on the session. She was wearing more makeup than usual. Lipstick, even. Said she just wanted to feel cute. Next week, same thing. Session got extended. No explanation. Just a flippant, "We were really getting into something deep, so we went over." I didn't question it directly, but I made a mental note. Then it started happening every week. Cancellations. Extensions. Processing time. I wasn't born yesterday, the story was unraveling. One night, curiosity, or maybe survival instinct, kicked in. I checked our shared Google Calendar. Yeah, we had one. Her therapy appointment was marked from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. It was 9:45. I refreshed the app. Nothing changed. No new events, no reschedules. Just the original, 1-hour session that supposedly ran long every single week. Still, I said nothing. I told myself I was being paranoid. But my body knew. That tightening in my chest wasn't anxiety, it was reality knocking on the door. And then came the voicemail. Yeah, voicemail. On the landline we barely used, which records to email. I hadn't checked it in ages. But I was clearing spam one day and saw the transcription preview. Hey, Eli, it's Claire. God, I'm still thinking about last night. You're right, I do deserve better. My stomach dropped. Played the voicemail 3 times before it truly sank in. Hey, Eli, it's Claire. God, I'm still thinking about last night. You're right, I do deserve better. I've never felt so seen. I don't want to overthink this, but I can't pretend it didn't happen. Call me. I sat at my desk, just staring at the screen like it was some glitch in the Matrix. Some warped alternate version of my wife had hijacked her voice. It couldn't be her. Claire, my wife. Claire, who was going to therapy to work on us. Claire, who was so exhausted she could barely stand to touch me lately. That Claire. No, this was someone else. Someone soft. Flirty. Hopeful. And worse, someone who clearly wasn't talking to her husband. I saved the voicemail and emailed it to myself, just in case. Then I sat there for maybe an hour, just existing. Numb. The dots were connecting faster than I could process them. The extended sessions, the cancelled appointments, the sudden glow she'd have after therapy, the extra effort in her appearance on those nights, perfume, earrings, a hint of cleavage. All of it screamed affair, and I'd been ignoring it like a fool. I didn't want to believe it was sexual. Not yet. I told myself maybe it was just emotional. Still cheating, yes, but easier to stomach. Maybe she hadn't crossed that line. Maybe there was still a way to pull her back from it. I didn't want to blow things up over a voicemail that, while inappropriate, wasn't graphic. Yet. So, I did what most betrayed husbands probably do first, I blamed myself. I replayed every recent fight. Every moment I didn't pick up on her unhappiness. Every time I didn't ask how she was doing. Every time I didn't hug her longer. God, I even started wondering if maybe I was emotionally needy. But beneath all that shame, was rage. A slow, simmering rage. I was bending backward to fix our marriage. I was the one walking on eggshells. And she was playing footsie with the damn therapist. I needed more proof. After the voicemail, something inside me shifted. The denial started to fade, replaced by the cold necessity to know. Not guess. Not assume. No. I didn't confront Claire right away. Instead, I went detective mode. The first step. Her phone. Now, I want to say up front, I'm not proud of this. I'd never snooped before. I believed in privacy, trust, all the basic marriage stuff. But let's be honest, when you hear your wife leaving flirty voicemails for your therapist, you stop playing by the rules. The rules are already broken. She always left her phone on the nightstand when she showered. One evening while she was rinsing off, I opened it. She used Face ID, but I knew the passcode as backup. She once told me that people who change their passcodes are hiding things. Funny how that aged. Went straight to her texts. Nothing under Eli. Nothing under Doctor, nothing obvious. But I knew his last name. Tried searching that. Boom, found a contact saved as E.M., how clever. Opened the thread. And there it was. Dozens of messages, stretching back weeks. Still thinking about your hands on me last night, smiling face with horns, are you sure he doesn't suspect anything? You make me feel like a real woman again. Not just some angry wife with baggage. He's so clueless, I swear. He still thinks I'm coming to therapy for him. I stopped breathing. She wasn't even conflicted. There was no remorse in those texts. No, I feel torn, or, this is a mistake. Just lust, mockery, entitlement. She was cheating, and she liked it. Worse, she was using my pain as a punchline. I, the supposedly needy husband, was now the naive idiot she pitied. And Dr. Eli? The licensed professional she was paying to help heal our relationship. He was encouraging it. Feeding it. There were texts from him too, talking about how strong she was for choosing herself, how brave she was to admit what she needed. And what she needed, apparently, was to sleep with the man she was paying to fix her marriage. I screenshotted everything. The messages, timestamps, even the photo she sent, not nudes, thankfully, but a sultry mirror selfie in a lace bra I'd never seen before. Then I put her phone back, sat on the edge of the bed, and waited for her to come out of the shower. Heart pounding. Chest tight. Mind spinning. I didn't know it yet, but that night would change everything. She came out of the shower humming. That same eerie, fake happy hum I'd been hearing lately, like she was starring in a movie where she was the main character and the rest of us were just background noise. She toweled her hair, glanced at me sitting there, and raised an eyebrow. Why are you sitting like that? You look like you saw a ghost. I looked up at her, really looked. Wet hair. Fresh skin. Calm, like nothing in the world was wrong. And I said it. Calmly. How long have you been fucking your therapist, Claire? Her whole body froze, towel halfway to her hair, lips parted. For a split second, she blinked like her brain glitched. Like her OS crashed and needed rebooting. Then came the reflexive, instinctual response, gaslight mode activated. What the hell are you talking about? Are you serious right now? Where is this coming from? She snapped, scoffing like I had just accused her of sleeping with the mailman. I didn't flinch. I held up my phone. I heard the voicemail. I saw the texts. I know about EM and your little extended sessions. Boom. Her face went pale, then red. She opened her mouth, closed it again. Panic flickered. Then, boom, the bitch mode rebooted. Oh my god, you went through my phone. Are you fucking kidding me? That's disgusting. That's a betrayal. I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. You're sleeping with our therapist, Claire. You think checking your texts is worse than that? She started pacing like a cornered animal, flinging the towel on the bed, throwing on her robe dramatically. It wasn't planned. I was vulnerable, and he understood me. You don't understand what I've been dealing with, how isolated I've felt, how invisible I've been in this marriage. I just stared at her. No. What you mean is that he told you what you wanted to hear. That you were special. That you deserved better. And you used that as a free pass to betray me. She crossed her arms. Her voice turned cold, like she was reading from a script. Maybe I do deserve better. You're not exactly the easiest person to love, you know. You just exist. You're always here. Watching. Waiting. Needing. It's suffocating. She made me out to be the villain. She was that far gone. At that point, I realized, this wasn't about fixing anything. She hadn't come back from those sessions hoping to rebuild. She had already made her decision. I was just the last to find out. After she finished her little monologue, about how suffocating I was and how she needed to breathe, she grabbed her phone and turned her back to me like I didn't even deserve eye contact. I sat there in stunned silence. Not because of what she said, but because of how effortlessly cruel it came out. She'd practiced this. She wanted to be caught. That voicemail. That selfie. She wasn't being sloppy, she was being done. She just didn't have the guts to say it outright. She wanted me to pull the trigger for her. So I did. You can leave, I said. Tonight. Now. She whipped around. Excuse me. You heard me. Go pack a bag. You don't live here anymore. That got her attention. The mask, the cool, detached artist who had emotionally transcended our marriage, cracked just a little. You're being dramatic, she snapped. We should talk about this like adults. I looked her dead in the eye. You've been sneaking out to screw the man we hired to fix us, Claire. The only adult thing you can do now is leave. She stared at me for a moment like she didn't recognize who I was. Maybe for the first time, she saw I wasn't going to grovel, beg, or cry. I was done playing the calm, accommodating husband while she dismantled our life like it was a canvas she got bored of halfway through. She huffed and walked into the closet. 10 minutes later, she came out with a duffel bag and her laptop bag, not a word. Not a tear. Not even a fake apology. Right before walking out the door, she paused. I hope you learned something from this. You pushed me away. That's on you. And just like that, she made herself the victim. Unbelievable. I didn't even reply. I just closed the door behind her and slid down to the floor. The silence that followed was deafening, not peaceful, not freeing. Just, empty. She was gone. But the mess she left behind was going to take time to clean up. Especially the part in my chest. That night, after she left, I sat on the living room floor until 3 a.m. Just staring at nothing. No TV, no music, no scrolling, just me, the clock, and the awful weight of reality. I kept thinking, 12 years. 12 goddamn years. All the dinners I made. The nights I held her while she cried over a failed art show. The birthday surprises, the weekends I rearranged to match her gallery schedules, the time I let her adopt a cat even though I was allergic, all of it. And she left like she was walking out of a yoga class. Like this was growth. Like cheating was a form of self-care. The next morning, I emailed Dr. Eli. I kept it brief. You are a disgrace to your profession. I will be reporting you to the licensing board for violating ethical boundaries with a client, my wife, who came to you under the pretense of repairing our marriage. You manipulated her, and you will face consequences. I attached the screenshots. The voicemail. Everything. He never responded. Instead, a week later, I got an email from a law firm representing him, asking me to cease and desist any defamatory communication. Yeah, okay, buddy. Good luck explaining those texts to the board. And Claire. She didn't come back. Not to apologize. Not to talk. Not to get closure. She texted me once, 3 days after she left. Please don't make this ugly. I think we both knew we weren't working for a long time. That was it. No remorse. No accountability. Just a casual shrug and a passive-aggressive dig to make it my fault again. I blocked her. Filed for divorce the next week. And then. I crumbled. The nights were the worst. Not because I missed her, but because I missed the version of my life I thought was real. I missed the lies. How pathetic is that? I kept asking myself, was she always like this? Was she always this cruel? Or did something change her? But the hardest question. Why didn't I see it sooner? I wish I could say I bounced back quickly. That I ripped off the band-aid, hit the gym, found a therapist of my own, or did something productive. But no. I spiraled. I stopped working for a bit. Told my boss I needed some time off, family emergency, I said. Technically not a lie. I lived off coffee and delivery food. The house felt haunted. Her perfume still lingered in the closet, her old art supplies cluttered the spare room like ghosts of someone I didn't recognize anymore. I couldn't bring myself to touch any of it. Friends reached out, or tried to. I ignored most of them. Not because I didn't care, but because I couldn't stand saying the words out loud. My wife left me for our therapist. It sounded made up. Like the plot of a bad soap opera. Who does that? But the worst part? The self-blame. The constant mental loop of, maybe if I'd just been more adventurous in bed, been more emotionally distant, because apparently, she hated that I was vulnerable. Been less available, been more like him, Dr. Eli, the soft-spoken guru with his, "you're so brave," nonsense. It made me question everything. My masculinity. My self-worth. Whether I was lovable at all or just a placeholder in someone else's life. I started rereading the texts I'd saved. I don't know why. Some twisted form of masochism. Maybe I was looking for a hint that she still loved me deep down. Spoiler, there wasn't one. There was one message from her to Eli that hit me like a brick, though. He's just so predictable. Always there. Always kind. Like a pet. I want passion, not loyalty. That was it. That was my worth to her. A loyal pet. That line broke something in me. Loyalty, to me, was everything. I gave her all of it. She saw it as weakness. That's when something in my spiral shifted. Not toward rage. Not yet. But toward resolve. Toward the realization that if I stayed in this place, emotionally and mentally, I was letting her win again. She'd already taken enough from me. The next morning, I did something small but symbolic. I threw out her damn eucalyptus shampoo. It had been sitting in the shower like a shrine to her absence, mocking me every time I stepped in. I grabbed it, along with her rose-scented lotion, her special conditioner, and that stupid lavender pillow mist, and dumped it all in the trash. That was the start. Next, I boxed up her stuff. Not angrily. Not violently. Just methodically. Coldly. Like I was extracting a tumor. Her paintbrushes. Her favorite mugs. The canvas she left half-finished that she once called the soul of the house. All of it, into a box labeled with her name and the word return scribbled in black Sharpie. I didn't tell her I was doing it. I didn't offer to meet. I dropped it at her sister's house and left without saying a word. Then, I started reclaiming my space. I rearranged furniture. Took down the joint photos. Bought new sheets. Cleaned like a man possessed. Not to erase her, but to make room for myself again. The version of me that didn't orbit her moods or her validation. And finally, yeah, I called a real therapist. A woman. One with no boundary issues. I told her everything. At one point, I half joked, "Is there a support group for men who got cheated on by their wife and their therapist?" She looked at me, didn't laugh, and said, "There should be. And if there isn't one, maybe you're the one who needs to start it." That hit me. Because this whole time, I'd been so consumed with what I lost, my wife, my trust, my image of the marriage, I forgot I still had something left, me. Broken, yes. Betrayed, absolutely. But not ruined. Not dead. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept straight through without waking up at 3 a.m., choking on what-ifs. Just when I thought things were finally quieting down, the universe decided to throw one last twist. A mutual friend, let's call her Rachel, texted me out of nowhere. "Hey. Just so you're aware. Claire's been telling people that you cheated on her. That the therapist was just helping her through it." I literally laughed out loud when I read that. It was so absurd, so textbook projection, I almost admired the audacity. According to Rachel, Claire had been playing the victim. Telling her artsy circle that I'd emotionally neglected her, checked out of the marriage, and, wait for it, had inappropriate contact with someone from work. Which is hilarious, since I work from home and most of my coworkers live on the other side of the country. And the therapist? Apparently just a supportive male figure who helped her realize she didn't deserve to be mistreated. That's rich. She rewrote the whole narrative so she could keep her reputation. In her version, I was the bad guy. She was the brave survivor. And Dr. Eli? Just a kind soul caught in the crossfire of a broken marriage. At first, I was furious. I wanted to scream. Post the screenshots. Forward the voicemail to everyone in her contact list. But I didn't. I sat with it. Thought about it. And then I realized, no one who actually knows me believes that crap. Claire was spinning a story because deep down, she knew what she did was indefensible. And if she could make me the villain, maybe she could sleep better at night. Maybe she could justify destroying our marriage, my trust, and her integrity, all for a man who charged $175 an hour and told her what she wanted to hear. Let her talk. Let her bury herself in her own lies. Because I had the truth, and I had peace. About a month after I filed the complaint, I got a call from the state licensing board. They wanted to schedule a formal interview. Apparently, I wasn't the only one. Turns out, Dr. Eli had a history, not just with Claire, but with 2 other former clients who came forward after my report. Same pattern, emotional grooming, blurred boundaries, eventually crossing the line. One of them had even tried to report him before, but nothing stuck. My screenshots, however. My voicemail. That was hard evidence. I gave them everything. Walked them through the timeline. Showed them how he exploited the therapeutic relationship for personal gain, sexual gain, and how he encouraged Claire to break off communication and lie. I'll never forget what the investigator said at the end of the interview. This isn't the first time we've heard his name. But it might be the last. A few weeks later, I got the update. His license was suspended pending full investigation. Claire must have found out, because she emailed me. First time I'd heard from her since that stupid text after she left. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed his career. He helped me in ways you never could. I stared at the screen in disbelief. No apology. No ownership. Just blame. Just more manipulation. As if I'd burned her life down, when all I did was expose the fire she lit. I didn't reply. What was there to say? He wasn't a healer. He was a predator in a cardigan. And she wasn't a victim. She was a willing participant who lied, cheated, and then smeared my name to protect hers. It was poetic, really. She fell in love with a man who preached emotional growth, and now he couldn't legally practice. She traded loyalty for lust, and ended up with neither. I blocked her email. For good this time. The funny thing about closure is that it doesn't come like people say it does. It's not one big moment. Not some cathartic scream, or a dramatic confrontation in the rain. No, it's quiet. It's the morning you wake up and realize you didn't dream about them. It's walking past their favorite restaurant and not flinching. It's hearing their name in a random conversation and feeling nothing but mild irritation, like remembering a bad movie you once paid to see. That was me, about 4 months post-divorce. I wasn't healed, not completely. But I'd stopped bleeding. I started going out more. Met friends again. Joined a hiking group, something Claire always rolled her eyes at because sweating for no reason is dumb. Turns out, fresh air and being surrounded by people who don't lie to your face is wildly therapeutic. Therapy helped too, the real kind. With a woman named Sandra who told me, very bluntly during our first session, "You've been gaslit for so long, you forgot what your own voice sounds like." She was right. I'd spent years second-guessing myself, minimizing my needs, calling it compromise when it was really surrender. Claire didn't break me in one moment, she chipped away at me slowly. Death by 1,000 sighs, eye rolls, and little digs masked as jokes. But now, I was starting to recognize myself again. The guy who used to love late-night sci-fi marathons. The guy who actually liked cooking, not just because it made her happy, but because he enjoyed creating something from nothing. The guy who was kind, loyal, present, and no longer ashamed of it. The best moment of all. I was at a small get-together, and someone brought their partner, a therapist. They asked me, offhand, "Oh, have you ever done couples counseling?" And I laughed. Like, really laughed. The whole room looked at me. I just waved it off and said, "Yeah. Once." It was a hell of a learning experience. And it was. So here I am, months later, divorced, grounded, and finally breathing again. If you're reading this and wondering how someone could be betrayed like that, by a wife and a therapist, let me be clear, it's not about you being weak. It's about them being selfish. Cowardly. Dishonest. And if you're in something that feels off, where your voice gets smaller by the day, trust that gut. Trust it before it whispers so softly you forget how to hear it. Here's what I've learned, the hard way. 1. Loyalty is only noble when it's mutual. I wore mine like armor. She wore hers like a costume. Don't give someone your whole heart if they treat it like a placeholder. 2. Gaslighting is real, and it's not always loud. It's sighs. It's dismissive words. It's shifting blame subtly enough that you start apologizing for needing love. Don't confuse emotional starvation with being too sensitive. 3. You're not broken because someone didn't choose you. Claire didn't leave because I lacked something. She left because she did. Integrity. Respect. Courage. 4. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you build yourself. One honest day at a time. To anyone out there who's being lied to, manipulated, cheated on, I'm sorry. I truly am. No one deserves that. But also, you will survive this. And one day, you'll sit across from someone who listens, who laughs with you, who doesn't make you question your worth. And you'll realize this pain, while brutal, was a bridge, not an end. You'll heal. Maybe not fully. Maybe not fast. But deeply. Quietly. And on your own damn terms.